hospital jab, whether, I mean, I just don't
It's relentless. It's relentless and nonstop, and it drives me crazy. And just about every day, and I don't even listen to him that much. It just happens to be the station that I'm on when I get into the car, and I listen to it, and it's some comment about Juju, and it just puts me in a rage. Like I just like if you want to attack Antonio Brown's done a lot of stupid things. Or if you want to attack Ben, or if you want to attack Le'Veon Bell, fine. They've done stupid things. Okay, fine. Go ahead and attack them. This kid has done nothing. He likes to have fun. He likes to play video games. Who cares? They said, well, maybe he should work on his.
21.
I heard someone say, well, he's a little slow. Maybe he should work on his speed rather than playing video games. Like, you know what he does in his spare time? Do we know what Cam Hayward does in his spare time? No. Do we know what any of the players do? No. We just happen to know what Juju does because he puts it out there. And to me, for what he does is totally harmless, and it really drives me crazy that guy attacks Juju all the time, and I don't know.
You know, I've never listened to his show ever, but I follow him on Twitter just because of how he has bashed the Pirates management over the years. Mm-hmm. And I started to notice that trend. I mean, man, it's every day. Like, I don't know what his obsession with Juju is, but I mean, it's gotten out of control.
At this point, it works because whenever he puts out something about Juju, people go nuts and attack him, and that's just exactly what he wants. He's basically a carnival barking pro wrestling guy, and he wants people to be mad and react to him, and so he's getting exactly what he wants. But I just can't let it go. It just ticks me off so much. Like, I just don't get it. I just think the kid has done absolutely nothing wrong. And someone said, well, he said he doesn't really care about football that much. Oh, really? The guy that had one of the best rookie seasons of any wide receiver ever, and who had the most yards in game one, and who had a great preseason, sure seems like he cares about football. You don't get that by just lucking into it, or by just having talent. Oh, and if you've seen him, he's built like a Greek god. So obviously he works on things. So, you know, maybe that's a really dumb criticism.
I think that's a pretty ridiculous and unfair criticism by anybody that he doesn't care about football that much. I mean, the kid's, what did he get drafted at? 20 years old?
Yeah, he was I think the youngest player in the league last year.
I mean, that shows you. I mean, to be the youngest player in the league at one point, plus have one of the best rookie seasons in the league, shows that you pretty much care about the game. To me,
I think the real thing here is Juju apparently does not like the traditional media guys, and he doesn't need them. He could go on YouTube or Twitter or Instagram or Snapchat or whatever and put out his message. He doesn't need to, be nice to writers for interviews or time on newspapers or radio shows or whatever. He doesn't need them, and maybe that's also part of why he's so mad.
Yeah, I agree.
But all right, that's now I'm all fired up. All right, man. We'll see how things go, and I'll hopefully talk to you Sunday.
All right, sounds good.
All right, have a good one.
You too.
Okay, with me now to talk about fantasy football is Paul from Pauly Sleepers. Pauly Sleepers are two guys that love fantasy and are experts in fantasy football and DFS. Paul, how you doing?
I'm great, Joe. How are you doing, man? Thanks for having me on.
Oh, thanks for being on. I am doing great. So, where did you want to start with fantasy? Do we want to talk about last week or? Yeah, here.
Well, I was going to go over some injuries and then kind of go over the games last week, and then relevant to who those players are playing this week, and and what might change. So, just starting off. With some notes and stuff, James Conner is going to play week 2. Thanks for being on my show last week, by the way. You provided some great insight onto the whole Steelers situation, and I think you guys are probably feeling pretty good right now about your replacement. He won the Nobel Prize last week.
Oh, really?
Nobel Prize.
Nobel!
But, I mean, yeah,
I get it! Nobel! That's good.
It sucks if you have to explain it, Joe.
Those are the best jokes. Yeah, the ones you have to explain. No, that's totally on me. It totally went over my head. That's very funny.
He took 100% of the running back work, 31 carries, 135 yards, 2 touchdowns, 5 catches for 57 yards. Our podcast last week, right in the beginning, I said, guys, pause the podcast right now. Go pick up this guy on the waiver wire. I had a bunch of people message me this week and say that he won their week. The Steelers are good to go with Connor and playing the Chiefs at home next week. I'm sure he will eat again. There's no sign of Le'Veon Bell, no real news about that, and I don't think that Steelers fans are really sweating that right now.
Yeah, Steelers fans are very happy. Any Le'Veon Bell owners, if they did not pick up James Conner, they're very angry. That was basically a wasted first-round pick. There was all kinds of speculation as to when Bell will be back. Will it be 3 or 4 weeks? Will it be 8 weeks? Will it be 10 weeks? Who knows? And who knows what kind of condition he'll be in when he does come back. But James Conner looks like he is going. I mean, he got all of the carries last week, so that's how much faith they have in him. Didn't even give one carry to anybody else. So
I think they really wanted to show Bell that they don't need him too. I think that relationship has been damaged, maybe beyond repair. We'll have to see what happens. The next notes is that Aaron Rodgers is better on one leg than your quarterback is on 2 legs. That was just amazing comeback. Came back from a 20-0 deficit, hit up all of his wide receivers, hit up Geronimo Allison and Randall Cobb and Devontae Adams, all scored in that game. Unfortunately, Jimmy Graham owners weren't too happy. Maybe he doesn't target his tight end because, he didn't see much going there. But Aaron Rodgers is going to play next week. Obviously now that we've seen him hobble and not put any pressure on one leg for an entire half of football and do that well, that, you got to have faith that he's just one of the best ever, man. He's just fantastic.
I'm really interested to see how that works out. How, will they just, keep him in the shotgun so he doesn't move around too much, or, how long is this going to last? That, how severe is this injury? So that's going to be really interesting because we've seen his replacement. My goodness, I'd rather have a deceased quarterback in there than DeShone Kizer.
DeShone Kizer. And one thing from a fantasy perspective, a lot of fantasy owners are waiting for Aaron Jones to come back week 3 from his suspension. They drafted him. They stashed him. I liked him better than Jamal Williams going into this year. He averaged a full 2 yards more per carry than Jamal Williams last year. But the thing we have to realize now is that Jamal Williams is way better in pass protection than Aaron Jones is. So as long as Rodgers is hobbled, it's going to be the Jamal Williams show, whether you like it or not. So I'm not sure who the Pack play week 3, but if you're an Aaron Jones fan and an Aaron Jones fantasy owner, monitor Aaron Rodgers this week and see how he is. If he looks pretty hobbled, I don't expect to see a lot of Aaron Jones while Aaron Rodgers is hurt.
Yeah, and the Packers play the Vikings go into Green Bay, so Vikings are a really tough defense, so that's going to be really interesting. Yeah, the division game, tough defense, so we'll see what happens there. Leonard Fournette, breaking news, he will play this week. He went out of the game last week versus the Giants with a hamstring, so hopefully his owners picked up TJ Yeldon. Even though he's playing this week, I think he'll probably miss some games this year. He missed some games last year. He has foot issues. These hamstrings tend to linger. I'm actually really surprised that they've already come out on Wednesday and said that he will play. So got to have TJ Yeldon in the wings, but if he, all signs are pointing to him playing this week. They've got a tough home game next week against the Patriots. Lamar Miller was a bright spot for Houston last week and had a great day, averaging 4.9 yards per carry. So
whoever's carrying the rock for Jacksonville will probably do very well. Their secondary looked pretty good. They shut Chris Hogan down to only one catch, and the Jags wide receivers didn't do anything last week. So if Fournette's good to go, it'll be the Fournette show, and if he's not, it'll be the T.J. Yeldon show. And T.J. Yeldon looked great in his absence. He gets the bulk of the work when Fournette is out. So that's something to look at. But right now it looks like Fournette's going to play. Josh Allen is going to start this week for the Bills in a surprise move. I'm surprised because, I think they wanted to let him sit out these first 4 weeks because they have just a murderer's row of opponents that they're facing. But Peterman looked so bad that they're starting Josh Allen this week at home against the Chargers. Start your Chargers defense this week. Not like you needed me to tell you that. Joey Bosa is going to miss a lot of time for the Chargers, so that's not too good for their defense. But I think they'll look great against the Bills. And rookie quarterbacks start out bad. Remember, Peyton Manning started out bad. Andrew Luck started out bad. All rookie quarterbacks throw interceptions in their first games. And, Sam Darnold threw a pick in his first throw last week. So Josh Allen's going to start, and right now there's just not much happening for the Bills. Shady McCoy got shut down last week. There was no other bright spots. They need Josh Allen to come in there and be the savior. And right now, if you have the Bills players, you got to sit him and see. Maybe he comes in and he's just, Joe Montana. Who knows? I did like him going into the draft last year. I just didn't like his landing spot for the Bills. So that should be interesting. Big tight end woes this week. Delaney Walker's out for the season. Greg Olsen is going to miss time. I'll be getting into, what those owners, what guys those owners should be looking at. But Greg Olsen says that he's just going to miss a few weeks. There's reports that he's going to miss significant time. He's had these foot issues before. So Devin Funchess is going to be a great play while Greg Olsen is out. Devin Funchess gets 7 targets per game with Olsen in the game and 10 targets per game with him out of the game. He had a great year last year when Olsen went down. So if you have Funchess, he'll be a great play this week. Christian McCaffrey will see more targets too. And the Falcons lost Keanu Neal and Deion Smith for the season. So they lost 2 big defenders. Smith is a guy that, is a linebacker that they funnel running backs to him to make the tackle. Now he's not there to make the tackle anymore. I think Christian McCaffrey catches 100 balls this year. I really do. And I think he's going to be a great play this week. He didn't have a monster game last week, but I think he has a really big this week against the Falcons. With Delaney Walker out, the Titans look really bad. Mariota had a shoulder injury. He lost some feeling in his fingers. That doesn't sound good. He is going to play this week, but he's missing Delaney Walker, who accounts for 20% of Mariota's passing targets. Also, Corey Davis, who was missed most of last year and was a big camp standout. And there's a lot of Corey Davis truthers that drafted him really high. He did bad last week, and he's missing practice right now with, I think, a hamstring, so he might not play this week. The Titans are going to be bad until further notice. The only player on that team that you want to start is Dion Lewis. He looked great last week. Derrick Henry did not. Dion Lewis is going to catch balls. They're going to be behind in games. So that's what's going on there. San Francisco game, Marquise Goodwin is out. He had a quad and a really heavy collision. George Kittle was the bright spot there. They lost Jerick McKinnon, and we talked about that last week. I think that's going to really hurt them going forward. Their 2 running backs that they have, Beretta and Morris, are not the style of play that Shanahan wanted with Jerick McKinnon. But Kittle looked great. He ran the whole route tree. He's more of a wide receiver, hybrid. He's all of his metrics, like his speed score, his catch radius, his spark score. If you go to playerprofiler.com, type in your player's name, it'll give all your stats. All of his stats are in the 90th plus percentile. And just like Dion Lewis being the only guy to have in Tennessee, I think George Kittle is the only player to play right now until further notice for San Francisco. Other big injuries, Doug Baldwin went down with a grade 2 MCL tear.